Doofy Doo is a man who keeps his promises. That is why I have returned yet again to make this episode 30 of the Doofy Doo talk through of Shiren the Wanderer. Alright, I am getting pretty exhausted this week, so I vow not to end this episode until I am tasting the sweet meat of Bufu's cave. That girl should recognize the sound of my footsteps by now and not even bother. Like, oh, it's that wanderer who never has an herb of sight. What a jerk. Alright, I've been spending like the last 16 or 17 episodes just messing around, dying on purpose, unlocking things, so it's gonna be kind of a harsh transition now that I'm gonna have to actually start playing the game for real and worry about dying. Speaking of harsh, this is kinda ugly. Woohoo! Thank goodness for teleportation. I'm gonna go back up to Mountaintop Town and just double check at the restaurant, make sure there's nothing left I have to do. And then I think I'm just going to kill myself. I kind of rushed through this part of the game. I didn't go as quickly as you could. Obviously, I messed around a little bit. But, you know, I went pretty quickly. And we've been playing 3.5 hours to unlock Bufu's cave. So, the first time you do it when you don't know what you're doing, it probably takes 10, 20 hours. Alright, that's good. He's wondering where Naoki is. That is a good sign. I think we are ready. Now I just need to wrap myself in the comforting arms of death. What's the fastest way to death? I think this way probably. The old mine. Oh, right on schedule. Great Hall Monster House. No one could ask for a faster death than this. Put up some token resistance. Oh no! Killed by a Death Reaper. How appropriate. Alright. I am almost positive that we are now officially in the post-game for real. We're not just unlocking things. We will be able to go to the dungeon. It's important to note that in this remake, you can level up before you go into Bufu's cave and Scroll Cave. In the original game, you were forced to enter at level 1. But let me just double check to see if I can get to face final puzzle. I'm almost positive I can't. He's talking about broken traps though. Broken traps are items that you get from the Scroll Cave, which is oh yeah, so there's no option for phase final puzzle. Just broken trap recycling? Weird. I don't even have the Scroll Cave open. Unless that's a sign that maybe I could unlock it whenever I want to. That's good. Alright, you can level up, as I was saying, before you get to Bufu's cave. But I'm gonna do it for real. Just stay at level 1. Take the card over there. If you're having a lot of trouble with Bufu's cave, you know, you can level yourself up, use a happiness armband, or just don't skip straight to it. You'll be around, I don't know, level 6 or 7. That's plenty of leveling. Bufu's cave in this remake, I guess they call it the Kitchen God cave, but Bufu is the Kitchen God, is not nearly as difficult as Bufu's cave in the original game. In the original game, Bufu's cave is actually harder than phase final puzzle, because phase final puzzle is so easy in the original game. But remember I said the difficulty curve was broader in this game. Hehe. Oh, Stone Dildonicus, we'll miss you. It's turned into some kind of mysterious hole that we will enter. Paging Dr. Freud. It's important to note this guy's telling you all your items will disappear, so this is kind of a little stepping stone on the way to phase final puzzle. You can't have any items, but you can use your levels. A man has already been down this hole. A wandering chef, I wonder who it could be. What is it, Pantsweasel? Yeah, I kind of figured that out already, but thank you. Alright, let's get in there. No items, no money anyway. Floor 1 of Bufu's cave. As you see, you start Bufu's cave with the Bufu's Cleaver and a big rice ball. If you can beat Bufu's cave, or escape another way with the Bufu's Cleaver, which I will show you how to do it later, and then meld the Bufu's Cleaver to a decent sword, you are well on your way to breaking this game. Bufu's Cleaver randomly transforms monsters that you kill with it into monster meat, so it is the ultimate meat maker. It doesn't make the Bufu staff. There's a little island of items. That's a common feature in a lot of maps. If you can find some monster meat from a monster that can fly, you can actually fly over that little moat and get those items. But there's nothing like that in this floor, I don't think. It doesn't make the Bufu staff obsolete because the Bufu staff still is like a guaranteed meat maker. The Bufu's Cleaver, you know, it's kind of random. You're not sure if you're going to get meat when you kill a monster. But it still almost breaks the game. You can eat meat to fill up your fullness meter by 10, so you really don't have to worry about finding rice balls. A lot of the meat you get is game breaking, especially Air Devil meat. I really wish they had nerfed Air Devil meat in this remake, because as soon as you get some Air Devil meat, you just lose almost all of your fear, because you know whatever happens, if you get in trouble, unless you hit a rice ball trap or a skull wraith comes by you, so you're not completely invulnerable, but it makes you much more relaxed when you have Air Devil meat. Of course, you know, you are eventually going to run out of Air Devil meat, but that item in particular really makes the game not quite as fun. Alright, I got a jar of holding. I'm going to call it a man purse so the other monsters don't make fun of me. Man purse of the gods? No. Too many characters. How about... I'll just reverse the wording. This is my godly man purse. No one will dare laugh at Shiren the Wanderer for carrying around a godly man purse. Full of meat. I hope the Boos Cleaver actually like cooks the meat with its magic too. Because if I'm just like carving off big chunks of raw meat, that's a little gross. You cannot be a vegetarian in Shiren the Wanderer. At least not in Bufu's Cave. Alright, this is a great time to talk about enemy design, because I am going to be using monster meat to become a lot of the enemies. And Shiren, this game, Mystery Dungeon 2, actually has the best collection of monsters of any of the games, including the sequels to this game, which you might contest. You might think, oh, some of the sequels to this game have all of the monsters in this game, and then they have additional monsters. How could those possibly be worse than this game? It's because the added monsters in later Shiren games are not as well designed as these monsters. And there's some basic characteristics that make for a well-designed monster. And I will go over those really quickly here as I load up on mammal meat. In fact, let's use the mammal as an example as we talk about monster design. One of the cool things about this remake is that it added a 4th promotion level. In the original game, most monsters could only level up twice to sort of a 3rd level. So there was no gold mammal, for example. There was just a cave mammal. That segues nicely to the first, already on floor 3, ghost radishes. Oh no. I should mention that even though this Bufu's Cave is a lot easier than Bufu's Cave in the original game, I do die. Oh gosh. If I had missed, I would have been killed by that pit mammal. I do die quite a lot in Bufu's Cave, even when I was playing at my peak, because I don't really play Bufu's Cave that much in this game. I prefer Phase Final Puzzle. I'd say in the original game, I win about 15% of my runs in Bufu's Cave. So Bufu's Cave in the original is almost as hard as Phase Final Puzzle is in this remake. And this remake Phase Final Puzzle is the hardest dungeon by far of the 2 games. In this remake, Bufu's Cave, I probably win, I don't know, 30% of my runs. Maybe 25, so chances are I'm gonna die a few times before I beat this, especially since I'm so out of practice. But as I said, it'll be a good confidence booster before I get to Phase Final Puzzle. Getting back to the first quality of good monster design, the first quality is that the monster design is simple, yet deep. A lot of the monster designs in Shiren for the Wii, for example, or even Shiren 2 for the DS, are a little bit too complicated. You look at the design and it's not immediately apparent what the monster is or what its powers might be. I remember there's one monster in Shiren for the Wii that has like a bunch of, it almost looks like a UFO with like a circle of signs wrapped around it that spin around. And it ends up that it's a monster that decreases, uh-oh, I need to pay attention. I might die on floor 3. Alright, good. It turns out it's a monster that decreases your strength, but perhaps it's unique to Japanese culture, but I had no idea just looking at the monster what it could do. If you look at the Mamel in this game, it's obvious that it's a weak enemy. It has a very simple design. It's a head. It has no arms and legs. I mean, it just kind of throws itself at you like a little pillow. It's obviously a weak enemy, but it has some depth because when it gets to the 3rd level, you're used to it not really gaining a lot of power when it goes from a mammal to a pit mammal, and that sudden jump in strength from a pit mammal to a cave mammal introduces a lot of strategy because it suddenly is worth a lot of experience, but it does a ton of damage too. So you're always thinking, how can I make this pit mammal a cave mammal so I can kill it? Or even a gold mammal. The added 4th promotion level in this game has double movement as well as being very powerful. And it gives you 2,000 gold, which, if you like Gaiden throwing, is like a 200 HP dragon herb, if you want to think of it that way. So that is even more valuable, but it has double movement, and I believe it has 6 HP, so I don't think a knockback stab is enough to kill a gold mammal, if I remember correctly. Usually I just kill cave mammals because I'm terrified of gold mammals. But there's because of that difference in strength for the different promotion levels, the mammal has some depth, and it's not very likely that it would level up on its own, like it was confused. But it might, and if it does, you're in trouble, or if you accidentally wave a staff at it that levels it up, a staff that we haven't really seen in the game yet. So the mammal is a good design. It has simplicity, it's readable. This other boy's like, what you doing, man? You know, sometimes I like to go into a room by myself, just shoot arrows at the wall. Really helps me put things in perspective, you know. It has some gameplay depth. It forces you to make interesting decisions. You have to decide, do you want to try to level it up or will you just kill it? So I like the mammal as a monster. Alright, you can see now that I've got some boy meat, I've turned into a boy and I'm filling the room with arrows. This is a good chance to talk about the way meat has been nerfed in this remake. In the original game, as a monster, you could pick up items, so I would actually be picking up all these arrows, and then I could shoot some more and pick them up, but because I can't pick up arrows as a monster, I'm gonna have to revert, so I need to make as many arrows as possible. A little bit tedious, but it is worth it, even if I do end up dying. I hope I don't die a lot of times. I have to do this over and over. Another more subtle way that monster meat has been nerfed a little bit is that you cannot go down the stairs as a monster, so you have to eat up another turn reverting to Shiren before you're actually allowed to move on to the next floor. So that can be kind of important in a pinch, having to spend that extra turn to actually revert when you're on top of the stairs. And one final, even more subtle way that monster meat is nerfed in this game is that when you eat monster meat, you will forget the location of all the traps that you learned, say from using an herb of sight or just checking. Oh! The winds of Kron! That's the first time we've run into them. Remember, that signals that it's time to move on before we get blown back to Canyon Hamlet. This is a good time to end the episode. I am done for the week. I will see you next week on Shiren the Wanderer. I made the whole episode without making a dick joke. I am such a classy dude. See you next week. Shooting arrows at the wall. That don't bother me at all. Eating mammals just for fun, while I try to win the run. Picking up a godly man purse that can hold my loot. I think maybe I'll stuff it with food.
Just shoot arrows at the wall. Really helps me put things in perspective, you know.